Okay, so anyway, so again, thank you. And I'll just make an acknowledgement that I acknowledge to the students too, acknowledging what the crises that we've been going through have meant for our communities with coronavirus, of course, and also the George Floyd killing in Minneapolis, and the riots that and the protests that has sparked, and that right now community is more important than ever. And the students were just saying, and we'll share these reflections later, that the community is strong in Lawrence, and that's what we've seen through our oral history interviews, and that's what we've seen through history. And we know that Lawrence is a strong community, and we really hope for the best for Lawrence as well as all communities in the nation. And it's important now more than ever that that we do work like this, where we're building bridges, we're getting to know people's stories, and I think the students in this term, they've really done a good job of capturing those stories and putting them together in a way that it's the whole world can hear these stories and learn the value of community and the strength of community, so that we have another perspective on the world. And I think that'll help to bring us all together. So anyway, we wanted to acknowledge that and thank you very much for being with us during these times, which are so challenging for all of us. So quickly, I'm going to go to the top left of my screen, and that's Melanie Garcia, the older. I'll let you say hello, and then it'll be the other Melanie Garcia to my right. We'll go, and I'll hit everybody as we go.
Hi y'all, my name is Melanie. You can call me Rios because it's so confusing, but I'm 17 years old and I'm in New York City right now.
Hi, I'm also Melanie Garcia. I don't have a nickname, so I guess I'm just Melanie. I'm 16 years old, I'm a 10th grader, and I'm from Lawrence, Massachusetts.
And Lily.
Hi, my name is Lily, and I'm a senior. I'm 19 years old, and I'm from Foxborough, Mass.
And Amelia.
Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm 16 years old. I'm in 10th grade, and I am in Andover, Mass.
And Henry. Oh.
Hi, everyone. I'm Henry. I'm a senior. I'm 18 years old, and I'm in Southwest Florida.
And Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura, or Lauda. I'm 16. I'm a 10th grader, and I'm in North Carolina right now.
And we have Amelia with an A.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm 16, and I'm a 10th grader, and I'm currently in Palo Alto, California.
And we have Brian, who's on the phone.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm an 11th grader. I'm from North New Jersey, and I am on the phone.
And he's currently driving back home from Andover, where he's packed up his dorm room and taking everything he could back to his home.
Yeah.
Which is another sign of the time. Why don't we let everybody else in the room introduce themselves too, and I'll start with the gentleman with the beard, the other one.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Coppinger. I'm the director of the Point After Club. It's a rehabilitation program, clubhouse model out of here in Lawrence. I'm 63 years old.
What grade
Tom, you're not the oldest individual that we've interviewed this season, though. So she's not with us right now.
63 years young. Let's get those.
Yeah. Yes. I shouldn't have suggested that you were old. I'm sorry. And Susan, you're next.
Susan Grabsky. I'm the executive director of the Lawrence History Center. I'm 51 years old, and I don't know what grade I'm in, but I'm sitting in my living room in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
You don't have to reveal your age, by the way. I didn't give that instruction. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Amita, you're next.
Hi, I'm Amita Kiley. I'm the collections manager and research coordinator at the Lawrence History Center. I'm 39 and I'm in Methuen, Mass. Still in high school though.
Yeah.
I
And
should
Vilma.
say thank you to all of you too for the great job you did this year.
Thanks.
My turn?
Yep.
So I'm Vilma Martinez Dominguez. I am Community Development Director for the City of Lawrence. Tom, I barely recognized you with your beard. I just realized it was you. And I know, I am 50 years old. They said the trend, and now we have to say how old we are. I'm 50 years old, and I am sitting in my home office in Lawrence, Massachusetts.
And Karina.
Hi, I'm Karina Papalato from the Psychological Center. I'm the CEO. We have 3 programs in Lawrence. One of them is our homeless shelter, Daybreak Shelter, and 2 female residential recovery programs, Pegasus House and Women's View. I'm 46, but this is my birthday month, so I'm coming up on another year. I'm sitting in my car because inside my house I have 2 very loud boys and 2 very loud dogs that like to bark at everything. So I'm just enjoying some time here, as you can see in my car. It's where I go to get away.
We've found that cars are really great recording studios for oral histories too, or for other work that we're doing. And then we have one guest who didn't participate in the project, but is a huge supporter. And I'll let Ms. Cueto-Potts introduce herself if she wishes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monique Cueto-Potts. I'm the director of the Community Engagement Office at Andover. I am 41 years old, and for the last term, I've been both in kindergarten and 5th grade as I homeschool in this pandemic crisis my 2 young sons. I'm sorry I'm not showing my face. I had a little injury yesterday that resulted in some stitches, so I'm laying down. I'm fine, everything's fine. I'm laying down, and it would be a very weird Zoom angle. But I'm super excited to see the work of our students and of our community partners in Lawrence, and have been a huge fan of this class for years and years and years. So I'm super psyched. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. My other colleague from the Spanish department wasn't able to be with us, and we have a couple people that we interviewed this season that also we were hoping to have on the line, but not sure if they'll join us, but Bianca Anonas, who's a history teacher at Lawrence High School, she's an immigrant herself, and had a great story to tell, not only of her own experience with immigration, but also being an Asian American and also being a teacher and a mentor to young people. And that was a really interesting story to hear as well. And then Betsy Williams, who was born in 1939, and I'll let somebody else do the math, but she tells a really great story of how she arrived in Lawrence not as a resident, but as a community activist in a way, and how it had to do with having a farm of her own, and Rios, Melanie Garcia, the older one, did a really great video just reflecting that story that also went back to the old agricultural days of the turn of the century. So that was cool to see. We wanted to give you at least an example of what the students have done and what the community members have contributed to this project and the voices. So we do have one video that we'll put on. It's Vilma's video. And we don't have Vilma's approval to play it publicly, but I thought that this would be a safe space. Is that okay, Vilma?
Of course. Yeah.
And maybe Laura is the principal editor of this video. Maybe I can let her cue it up, and I'll play it. But you can set the scene for us. What was your vision? What did you gain from it? And how are you trying to represent Vilma Martinez Dominguez?
Well, Vilma has like a great story of like decades of like community service and activism, and like it was so hard to like narrow, because our interview was like over an hour long, so it was like hard to narrow it down to like a 5-minute-ish video. So I tried to like have like, I guess, like the more like broader things that she mentioned in, and she said some like really good things about maintaining community even in like these like crises that we're facing right now. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So
I think they will, right? We've all experienced this, and Lily, you were in on the interview and you worked hard on the project. Would you like to share another perspective on it? And
Yeah, I mean, Laura definitely took the lead, but I think that you guys will all be pleased with what Vilma told us. But definitely the idea we came up with was trying to make people watch or encourage people to watch the full interview. So it's more of like a trailer.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so all the interviews ended up being an hour or more. And so we're just trying to tease the public into, digging deeper and going for the full length story. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up. You may have to see what other suggestions that YouTube makes for me. Don't laugh, but I'll put this up and then you can see Vilma's story, see and hear Vilma's story. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
And if you're working with gallery view, you can drag the view maybe to the top or bottom. I think that might allow you the best view, but maybe maybe on the right side. You'll figure it out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play it, and we'll enjoy this together. You can mute yourselves while we're viewing.
I can't hear anything. I don't know if anyone else.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
I couldn't hear anything either.
Yeah.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
I muted myself. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I didn't realize. I thought it would just mute my microphone. Okay, I'll start that over. You have the subtitles, so I don't know what you're complaining about. No, I'll put this on. Just kidding.
I like to advocate. I like to be vocal and con mi gente. Me gusta mucho abogar por mi gente. My name is Vilma Martinez Dominguez. I am currently the Community Development Director for the City of Lawrence. What I loved about Lawrence, it's what I haven't found anywhere else. This sense of community, the sense of belonging, having other people that speak your language so you can preserve some of your culture, some of your language, some of your background, your roots. I think that has been the most significant thing for me. And also, it's a place where there's a lot of connections and partnerships and this is my hometown. This is definitely my hometown. Human beings, we're not born to be alone. I think we're born to be connected. And I'm a person of faith. Based on that faith and based on that community, that sense of connecting with people, that sense of advocating for people, that sense of knowing where you come from and your struggles and how other people are coming in now into our city. And we get to work together and really try to show the newcomers the way. And so I think that has been very much rooted in the public service, my public service life. I'm gonna continue doing the work that I've been doing. I've been devoted to public service for a long time. I care about my city. And also, I think that we deserve a city that, where we can raise our families, where we can create community, and where we can find opportunities, equal opportunities, so that we can prosper. That's all we want in life, right? That's basic needs. But we've done a lot together. We have been able to create change in so many ways. It doesn't change the fact that we're still a very challenged city. We are very resilient and we're very resourceful. But if you look at quality of life for people, we haven't gotten there. So you have a lot of people who are working 2 or 3 jobs because they don't have a livable wage, right? And I think that impacts a lot your ability to prosper. Substance use and then homelessness is our newest and most, I want to say the most significant group. We have a large homeless population, unsheltered population in our city. And now with COVID-19, it's been the focus of my work, creating actually 3, supporting the creation of 3 temporary shelters for people who are unsheltered, homeless, and those who are housing insecure. It's uncertain. I think that we're seeing the numbers slow down a bit, both the number of infected people in our city and the people who are unfortunately losing the battle to the virus. So people's lives are changing right now. People are losing family, loved ones. And so I don't know what normal is. I don't think there'll be a normal. I think there'll be a new life, new opportunities, new lessons learned to bring to the work and to our lives. All it is happening. Life is not going to be the same again. How do we incorporate the voices of everyone, particularly those who are most vulnerable? Are we really getting to the communities and the families that we need to get to with these services and these resources? When you make it first come, first serve, how are we really impacting? How are we really favoring or supporting or benefiting those families who need it the most? So this time around, I really looked into that consolidated plan, and I just finished doing the reviews today to make sure that the voice of the community and what I have seen and what I have lived and what's happening right now, it's reflected there. We need to continue to work together. I don't think this is just a responsibility of our mayor or our administration, but this is a civic responsibility. And I think that that's what made Lawrence the city that it is, because we have a lot of partnerships, a lot of caring people, we have a lot of support, we have a lot of love for our city. It's just by the grace of God, by caring individuals, by people who are at the table that say, how can I help? And I think that's something that we're very strong, but we have a lot of work ahead of us. So really, this is a moment where my faith probably is being challenged, but it's also a moment in my life where I can really reflect and sort of the fluff is gone, and now you're looking at what's really important in life, right? So what's really important in life, it's what you need to value. And when we go back to the world, when this thing is over, I think it's gonna be a new day. I think we're gonna be thinking and acting very differently, because we may be dealing with this for a while. We have to remember where we come from, what's important, tap into those networks and that resiliency that makes us very special, and just move forward. We can't sit and dwell, we gotta move forward. But we are survivors, right? We have come from a lot of I've lived a lot of difficulties in my life. We didn't have a perfect life, nobody does. But it taught me to be strong, and it taught me to be resilient. So I think that's the case for many people in this city. So I think we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
The clapping goes to you guys. You guys did an amazing job asking questions. You're very inquisitive. I mean, congratulations. You guys were truly engaged, and that made a difference for me in the process. So thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how, Laura, you pared that down to 5 minutes, because I sat in on that interview and every second was full of substance and value. And so to pare her back, someone like Vilma, to 5 minutes, any of the people that were interviewed, but that's impressive. Well done.
So we would love to allow you to turn the tables. At least I would love to see the tables turn a little bit, where the people who are following the project and have been involved in the project, maybe you'd like to ask some questions of the students. The Vilma's interview is similar to the other interviews in that there were some common themes that came out in all of them. It was strength, resiliency, connection, and the idea that there's something beneath the surface, and so you have to dig. I think that came out in a lot of the videos. So, we could talk about that and hear what you all, want to know from the students, because the students have perceived all these and they've seen all the videos, they've all shared and commented and critiqued. So they've probably got some things to say. Just, you've got to ask them the right questions. So what else would you like to know from the students?
Do you mind if I ask a quick question, since I have to jump out at 6:15?
Sure.
I wanted to know, for all the students, what did you find most enlightening about the interview process, and the whole transcribing of interviews? Because I know it's a lot of material. So how was that process for you? How do you get to pick what's the most important pieces? How do you put it together? I mean, how was that for you?
Can I start?
Yeah. And then Amelia,
Okay.
I saw her hand go up too. Yeah.
Okay. I thought that, when you're having the interview, there's obviously like these parts that like jump out. And I know that when I was talking with Amelia about it, I know that there were sections where I'm like, are we going to keep this? Can we keep this for sure? Because that really impacted me. Or like even in the interview itself, it's like wow, that really speaks to like the moment. And I think that having that, and then also reading it in the transcript and like transcribing it, writing it down, having multiple exposure to like to these messages, to what was being said in the interview itself, I thought that really cemented it. And it in a way, like being at home, I haven't been able to leave my house in like a really long time, other than today. So having that connection and knowing that like there's like that there's people out there and they're all like going through something very similar, like, or different, having that really impacted the way that I like looked at being at home and like my own community,
And Amelia with an E.
That's
Is she frozen for everyone or just me? Yeah.
For everyone.
Oh.
I can also go
All right.
if we're like waiting for
Yep.
our internet to back up. I think like the most impactful thing for like the interview process with me is that if you like give someone the opportunity to just like speak about their life, they just like have a lot to say. And I think that's like are just like really powerful for me. And then in terms of like transcribing and deciding what to pick, I write for like the school newspaper, and so I'm kind of used to picking out like quotes to like include in like an article or such. And so like I guess it was like natural for me at that point. But I think it's also like you're trying to form like a concrete narrative. So if like an interviewee like says something and like it might be harder to explain that entire like concept in 5 minutes than to just like stick to like the broader, I guess like more like human, like I guess like everyone can relate to themes, if that makes sense.
Amelia, you came back. You looked excited to say what was on your mind, so we'll let you take the next one.
sorry. Okay. Sorry. I don't know if Laura talked about it again. I wasn't there. I was trying to reconnect. But yeah, I like definitely went through it like looking at it from like a trailer perspective, and I was thinking about like what makes a good trailer, and it's kind of getting through people. So like in both the interviews I did, I wanted to definitely solidify the parts that like literally blew me away. There were literal parts of the interview that I like it's like when you listen to people you don't usually talk to, like you hear some stories that are just so profound and so rich, and it blows you away. I don't know, it might just be a me thing. I don't think it's just a me thing. it's really fascinating listening to other people. And so when I was like watching over these videos, I really wanted to make sure that I was like targeting those parts that like can touch everyone universally. Like I don't think like my objective, like when someone watches the video, is that every single person can look at that video and be like, wow, this story matters. And obviously, like, I mean, but also like some people are a lot more stubborn, and what's gonna grab someone and make someone really want to hear more, want to do some research maybe, want to pay attention to it. That was my objective. And again, I don't know if Laura talked about it earlier, but I mean, that was the lens that I took.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was definitely like the interview, just kind of, especially hearing like Tom's story and how the club has like started, like first of all, how it started and how it's grown and how it's shown resiliency through like this coronavirus. I think the most difficult part was definitely narrowing down the transcription. I think like there were certain parts that I knew I wanted to find and go back to. But I think I started out, the first time I got it down, or picked out the pieces that I wanted, I think I had like 15 minutes worth of content. And I was like, well, we gotta get this down somehow. And so it was definitely difficult because I didn't want to say too much on one thing because I wanted to include a little bit of everything. And so there's definitely this moment of like, okay, I need to hit the main points, but there's a few details that are just so incredibly meaningful that they need to be included. And so finding the right balance is so difficult.
All right, so thank you so much. I'm so sad that I have to go, but their churches are reopening, and we're trying to provide them with some information on how to do that safely. So I gotta go, but I want to leave. I'm gonna make it very clear. I'd rather stay here right now. Good luck to Karina, to Tom, to everyone else who's doing, you know, they're having their stories videotaped. Yes.
Great seeing you, Vilma. I love the amount of times, it was probably 100 times in the hour that you mentioned the word resiliency, but that's the true story of Lawrence.
Right? All right, have a great rest of the meeting.
All right, thanks, Vilma.
Bye, Vilma.
I'm going to point out that Bianca has joined us. She's a teacher at Lawrence High School and an immigrant herself, as I said. Hey, and we did an audio interview with her, so that was interesting. And you know, we were when I set up the remote oral history project, that was one of the options that I considered, and it was good to figure out how that would work too, because we ended up making a video of her audio interview, so that was good. So anyway, so yeah, Bianca, we're doing a Q&A. They've seen the video that the students produced of Vilma, and now we're just kind of processing and reflecting on what this project has meant for them and the community. Karina has thrown a question in there too that I'll make sure that we get to. She says, what surprised the students most to learn about Lawrence? And anybody can jump in. We'd love to hear different voices too, so from the various students that are involved. I'm gonna maybe ask Melanie Garcia, the younger, to maybe answer this question, because she, of course, has grown up in Lawrence, and her parents are, you know, longtime residents themselves. I wonder, Melanie, what perspectives you gained on your own home city?
Well, I actually interviewed my own dad for this. He's not here for this call right now, but I was talked to me about like the recession that happened in the 90s. And I got like really surprised about how much the members of the community had to figure out on their own. My dad mentioned to me how like now there's like like especially during like the pandemic to support small businesses. There's like associations and things like that. But like in the 90s, people were mostly on their own. Like people's kids had to get their own jobs to support the family. My dad was talking to me about how like he had to like stall his like college education to help support his family. How people would like show people jobs in different parts of Massachusetts because there weren't as many places to work in the city. And how people would let their neighbors stay in their houses because they didn't have anywhere else to go. And yeah, I was like really surprised about like the support they had to give to each other because they wouldn't get much support from the state.
I guess I could go. I know like this is like the same thing, but like just like realizing how everybody's story is really different because like I interviewed Mrs. Betsy Williams, and she was a gardener, and like I live in New York City, so like I don't really know any gardeners here because yeah, I live in the city. So it was like really interesting to like get that point of view, like different the different lives of every single person. Yeah.
For me, like learning how different kinds of events have repeated themselves over and over again in the history of Lawrence, and how often we feel like we're in like a new era, but a lot of the same kinds of things are happening. And I with Melanie, the younger one, we interviewed her dad, and he talked a lot about how the recession and the COVID pandemic are kind of similar, except the one difference now is that like Melanie said, there are a lot more organizations to help people, and people are just generally more like prepared for a crisis financially.
I'm going to let Amelia with an E answer, and then we'll go to Bianca's question that she's put into the chat.
So I guess for me, it was maybe not necessarily like a different perspective, but I definitely got to hear more of a perspective because for me, like I know Lawrence by living close to it. Also, my dad works at Lawrence General Hospital and in like the Dana-Farber Institute. So he has like lots of patients from there. I like volunteer at the maternity in Lawrence General Hospital as well. And so I know lots of like, I've like seen many patients and like I'll have like daily conversations with them. But I think it was very interesting to like sit down and have entire conversations. And although I do get to do that sometimes in the maternity, it's actually really nice because many of the nurses don't know Spanish. And so like sometimes when there's no translator, they'll have me be their like informal translator. And I'll have conversations with the new moms. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy like having conversations because everyone has like such different stories, and like it's people are very interesting. Like they really are. People have stories and they're very interesting, and like honestly, everyone could totally write a memoir, a best-selling memoir. So I don't know. I guess just kind of adding to that. I don't know. I had a blast personally.
And we have Bianca's question here. If one of your friends asked you about Lawrence, what would you tell your friends about it based on what you learned? And how would you describe it? How would you tell or sum up Lawrence's story?
I can go first. So in the winter term, there was a class like a precursor to this one, about like the history of Lawrence, and like every Friday we would go down to Lawrence from like Andover's campus and like see like a historical place or like monument or walk around the city or something like that. And I think it was just like it was a really good class because we dove into Lawrence like not from like the perspective of like I guess like how the media paints it, but I guess like more culturally and like seeing it more as like a tight knit community than anywhere else. And like for me personally, like I'm not from the area, so I didn't like know anything about Lawrence before like coming to the school. And like through being friends with Melanie, like she introduced me to Lawrence and its culture. And like also like I'm also Hispanic, so I kind of like understood like the culture and like the stereotypes around like cities like Lawrence. So I think it was like I think that like to do this project too kind of cemented that like my like notion that Lawrence is such like a tight knit community and it's like really resilient as a city. And so I think that's like what I got most from like the two classes centered around Lawrence and its history.
Yeah, Lily.
I think also like being so close to Lawrence during the time of the gas leaks, we kind of saw firsthand how they were struggling a lot more than many people from Andover who were suffering from the same circumstance that were able to financially just recover a lot easier. And so I think being so close and seeing how resilient they are to, survive crisis like so severe time and time again.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason why I kind of asked that question too is a lot of the, aside from like the negative, not, my God, I can't speak English, like the negative connotations that people have with Lawrence. I think like projects like these really like open people's minds and people's hearts and kind of like taking more of an insider perspective rather than an outsider perspective, but also creating allies for like communities like Lawrence.
Yeah, I think personally I can't say much on the history of Lawrence because I didn't take the winter term of this class. And so I can't really say much about Lawrence historically, but what I've gained from listening to your stories and this term in general is just that it has a tight-knit community and it is so rich with different cultures and just a community who cares about each other genuinely. And I think that that isn't entirely shown through the media. So it definitely gave me a very positive view of Lawrence, and I really enjoyed it.
Great. And we're coming up on the end of our time together. It's actually been more than half an hour of all of us together, which is what I had put out in the invitation. I think Tom's raising his hand, so maybe we'll let Tom sort of wrap us up, and then I'm going to grab the students real quickly after we break.
I just want to thank you. I mean, I had a wonderful time with the conversation with Henry and Amelia and you, Mark. One thing that really stuck out to me was, when I walked away from the conversation was the question about hope. And they asked me, do you still have hope? I think it was. And I realized, that we have a clubhouse song, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And the chorus goes, it's a variation of the original one. And the chorus goes, will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? But there is hope here, and it's growing. If we try, Lord, if we try. So if I could ask the students, I'd love to get a young perspective of what your feeling of hope is. In these trying times. Henry?
Amelia, you go first.
Okay. I think for me, it's just that I've been able to talk to a lot of my friends and been able to be with my family, and knowing that I will always have somebody behind me and to support me through this, and that I am there for them as well has always just been a huge source of hope for me, because if I feel that way about my friends and my family, then I assume that other people feel that way about other people as well. And so I think that's what gives me hope, is that people care about each other. And I think as long as people care about each other, we'll get through it.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there, Amelia. I think spending time with your spending so much time with your family and your siblings, if you have them, is like just really reminds you like of that, like no matter who you are, everybody has like their safety net, no matter what it is. But also, I think like it's really important to like respect the generations who are older than us, but also like look at them and look at their mistakes and actively try to do better than that. And I think I have a lot of hope that not to sound narcissistic or anything, but I think I have a lot of hope that like our generation is going to be able to look at both the good things and the bad things that like the generations above us have done, specifically the generation directly above us, and say, okay, like what can we do to make the world a better place in the future?
Great. And with that, I think we do need to conclude, because I think people need to move on to stuff, and I've got dinner pretty soon. But I wanted to thank you. I mean, it's been a great conversation. I think there's been some real dialogue, and that's one of the things we do try to promote through projects like this and community engagement, is real dialogue, real cooperation and collaboration, and shared thinking about ideas and all. If I can say one thing about the young people too, and sort of to pick up on Henry's point, I have a suspicion that the younger generation is going to be so deeply marked by this experience during the pandemic that your futures are they're being shaped right now, to go into to become community agents and activists and community supporters. I think that you're all going to make conscious decisions, in part based on, well, conscious and unconscious decisions, probably based on your experience during this crisis, to make the world a better place. And I think that your professions, your chosen, the careers you choose, will be partly based on it. And it's I think you're going to do some really amazing things. There were the baby boomers who did a lot of things, and I've heard it said that you are the baby zoomers, or that the people being born now will be. So you're in that generation. And with that silliness, I think we'll quit. I would love to hold on to the students just for a couple minutes, just to do some final housekeeping. But thank you all for joining us today and for joining us throughout the project and supporting it. Ms. Cueto Potts, for really putting everything into it from the Community Engagement Office, and Susan and Amita for supporting it from the Lawrence History Center side, and just really being cheerleaders for this project and this community engagement, and for everyone for offering their immense time and energy and their wisdom to all of this. So thank you so much. All right, and with that, we'll conclude, but students, stick around for just a couple minutes.
Bye, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.